Well, hello guys, welcome back. So all the Wiccans are gonna proceed to laugh at me and go, ha ha, ha, we knew. You guys know I came in through the old age, yeah, the old age. I'm going into old age. I came in, walked into this channel. I came in through the new age. I spent decades in Wicca. I kind of drifted out of Wicca for various reasons, and honestly, all the things Wicca gets accused of, everyone else does anyhow, but I've come to the conclusion that people will say, well, because I call myself X, Y, or Z, I can do that, and it's okay when I do it, but the Wiccans can't do it. That's honestly, I call it, yes, Becker! That's honestly the conclusion I've come to. Everything that Wiccans get accused of, from bad research to not having enough gravitas to anything else, when other people do it, it's perfectly okay. But when Wiccans do it, it's because they're lazy and they just make stuff up and blah blah blah. I've seen people, totally justify doing the same exact thing because they go, well, I call myself this or I call myself that, and I'm trying not to pick fights, but I I have quite a few, things running through my head. And, in Wicca, there's a sense that there's the goddess and the god. And a lot of newer Wiccans are fighting against this because that's very, two genders only, blah, blah, blah. But the goddess is seen, and people are going to argue with me because every flavor of Wicca is very different. So just because someone says I'm Wiccan, ask them what type, because you might have a big old fight on your hands because their belief of goddess is very different. But in my day, for all of us old chicks, goddess was, in a sense, reflected in every goddess. In a sense. Some Wiccans did not just take Diana off the altar and put it on Pele because one was as good as another. It's not, people call it plug and play. Not all Wiccans are quite like that. It's every goddess is a faucet of the one true goddess. Let's put it that way. I'm getting very good back here. He's been doing that a lot as I've been doing this lately. And the idea is that there is an overarching true goddess, that she's just so complex that your brain would just go, you would cease to exist. That if you saw her in all her glory, you would just go. And I was getting this idea that it was her coming in, and I was like the worst Wiccan because I would work with her occasionally. And she would, like, sometimes she would look like Sophia, sometimes she would look like Morgan, but it was always like this was the overarching goddess working with me. And believe me, she likes to mess with me. She likes to mess with me, and she likes to have fun with me. It's what she likes to do with me. And she's like, ha! So, okay, Becker. And so the goddess has been coming through, and I'm like, this is impossible. I gave up the belief in the goddess a long time ago. And it's like, well, you might not believe in her, but she believes in you. And I'm getting, And basically, therefore, the goddess can take absolutely everything as a representation of her because she's in absolutely everything. I did not say just put all your goddesses in one bowl and mix them all together, but she could take wolves as easily as she could take butterflies, because I was getting confused because I was getting butterflies and wolves and flowers and the living and the dead and grassy metals and the tropics. I'm like, who is this even? She doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, oh yeah, the mother overarching goddess. And getting this benevolent amusement behind me. And I feel that when I go into more of a Wiccan path, and all the pagans are unsubing, that it's going to be a pretty good normal thing. That 1 minute I will be talking to, say, Persephone, and then 20 minutes later it's some goddess I've never heard of, and then 20 minutes later it's something else. It's like and this is what I experienced with her, and I just thought I was crazy. It's like they are distinct goddesses, but this overarching mother goddess can come down as any of them, and she loves to do this. I know how crazy that sounds, but that's, what I experienced. And she gave me a dream. She's been giving me super weird dreams, and I knew it had to be the Wiccan mother goddess because the Wiccans are the only ones that know what's up. I went on pagan Reddit, and they're too busy fighting and trying to kill each other over, dogma. And forget about the heathens, and forget about like the Norse stuff and that, because they're all too busy, trying to be fundamentalists, and no offense meant, but they're too busy, fighting over dogma. The Wiccans are the only ones that know what's up. They're like all the little bunnies, and all the little all the other cute things people say that Wiccans are into, which is true. Butterflies and everything are like kind of like popping up, and even the ones for the crone are like, she's doing something. She's moving. Y'all getting crazy dreams. Yeah, get crazy dreams. What's she up to? Now some of them are younger, it seems, and they're not getting this thing, but I'm like, she's moving, and she's moving fast. And she's getting THX loud, which if you work with her, she's loud. She's loud. She's very loud. And you make her your plans, and she laughs hysterically, and she's like, that's not gonna happen. And both of my new tarot decks came in, and I had to laugh because apparently Doreen Virtue thinks like these are from the devil or something. You can't work with them. But I got back everything's okay when I read this deck. Let me see if I put it up on top. I got back, everything's okay. There's nothing to worry about because I could not get the goddess, which is typical of her. She will jump out of your way if you try to read her. Oh, these are actually really pretty. I haven't looked at this deck. I didn't even look at it before I read it. These are actually really pretty. Okay, the card I put on top has disappeared, but these are pretty cards. So this is what happens when it's some other goddess coming through. This is typical. She hides things. Stuff goes kitty wampus. Here. Okay, she hit it. I swear, guys, I didn't do drugs. I'm not eating those gummies. She hit it 2 cards down and put a card on top. Here is the card I drew, and butterflies are revealing. And here is the card she put on top. So this is very typical of, when the goddess is trying to get my attention. So I'm like, okay, I'm officially Wiccan again. Because it's like, you're not getting a choice on this one. And I had a dream from her yesterday. And it was basically hold on, guys, let me replace that butterfly. It's going to really bother me. 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to have to use a glue gun after this to do that, actually, because it was weird, and there's tape everywhere. Here is, and she's always kind of snarky with me, very snarky. The goddess of snark is who she is. It's like, ha ha ha. You have no idea what you walked into when you walked into Wicca, but time to go. The sun sets and rises each day, and it's the same with the avenues in your life. See the beauty within each sunset in your life, and know that the sun will also rise again tomorrow. Endings are merely the start of a new beginning, and we are with you through each phase and cycle. And it looks like the torch is topped with either an angel or a butterfly, so the Queen of Snark is indeed with me. And, it's how I know it's the goddess. It's like, I know it's the goddess because she's extremely snarky. She could give Loki lessons, and anything you can do, she can do better. So kind of like I said, a lot of that like Morrigan energy. Like if you can do something, she's 5 times better at it. She really is. And putting the cards back. And it's kind of the thing of, I'm going to have to do whatever it is that she wants. It's like, this is not an option. She gave me the dream. I'm sorry, I'm getting away from the dream. Where I'm standing on a riverbank. And it's a silver river. It almost looks like it's made more out of mercury, and yet then it's blue, and then it's back to that silvery mercury color. And then it's almost black. So it's changing colors. And there's a tropical forest, and yet it's a regular forest across from me. And there's like a path, but it's shadowed. And there's a tropical forest, yet a normal forest behind me, because this is the kind of dream she gives me. And there's a path too, and in that path is shadowed. But the river, you could go down the river and go towards the sunshine and all this other good stuff. And you hear all these animals and everything. And there are thousands, if not millions, of butterflies of every color of the rainbow flying overhead, and they're just countless in numbers. And I'm looking up, and it's beautiful. And there's this guy, and I'm pretty sure it was Asmodeus playing along because he was tapped, and he's going to do as he is told. And it was he was trying to come through to the land of the dead, and I realized I was on the side of the land of the dead, and on the other side, it could have been the side of the living, or this could have all been the land of the dead. And he was trying to come through, and every time he came through, the butterflies blocked him. So they were not only guarding me in a sense, not from Asmodeus, but it was Asmodeus, and it was a dead guy that wanted to die before his time too. So I'm not going to be monetizing this. And he was trying to come through, and she's talking in this big booming voice, and I'm getting this image of what I thought Sophia looked like in my head, and yet a little of Morgan Le Fay, and yet a little of the Morgan. And she's booming that these are my warriors, the butterflies, and who are you to try to cross them, and who are you to try to cross like before your time, and all this other stuff. And I've been getting a lot of death stuff up on Pinterest, and I haven't been thinking about it, and I haven't been interested in it. And I'm like, okay, this is super weird. So, she's blocking him, and these are her warriors. And then I get up and I go back to bed, and I have a dream of this stalk of flowers that doesn't exist. It would be like if you took calla lilies and put leopard spots on them and put like hundreds of them on a stalk together, and it just made so much sense in the dream. And it looked real, but it looked artificial at the same time. And I really, truly thought I would come down and find it. And she's like, you're going to have this. This is going to be a sign. You're going to have this. Like, this is not an option. You're getting this. So I know I'm getting a sense now of not to look for it, like right this second, but it's like, you will know that I am goddess, and you will know that this is real, and you are going to get this. And I'm like, okay, so if she makes stuff fall out of the sky and I know to go look for it, I will get it. But she's definitely strong, and the Wiccans are the only ones that know what's up, because they're not fighting over stuff. They're trying to put their feelers out every single day, and see what Goddess is up to. And she's definitely moving. She's definitely strong, and it's like, this explains stuff. I had thought I've heard her calling me back, like, okay, you've played in Pagan Land long enough. Come back here. I need you to come back here. And it's like, when she calls, you don't argue with her. And I noticed I got a lot of vegetables. They had a grocery order to put in. This actually is tie into this. I got a ton of vegetables, and I got meat and stuff like this. And I'm like, this is very out of character for me, because I've been almost subsisting on noodles, because I'm kind of lazy sometimes and don't care about cooking. I eat an okay diet, but I do tend to cook a lot of noodles. And it was like, you're going to have some good food every once in a while up on the, I always eat good food, but you know what I mean. It was like, this is me. All the food you eat, this comes from me. Do you understand? Do you understand? Now, of course, the god's involved in this too, but it's like the god's staying out of this. Like, when the mother goddess is ready to move, he gets out of the way and puts his hands up, and he's like, yes, dear. Because I'd had a vision of him as I was doing this thing last night, so that's in this too. Of she gives me these visions, and I have them, and then they're gone, and it's like I hear ah in the background, and it ain't Loki. She's laughing at me, and I was holding up this sheet of butterflies last night, working on them to get them onto the door before the sun completely sets, so I could see how they look. And as I'm looking at the sheet of butterflies, and as I'm listening to this video I'm listening to, it was like this all time looped around, and I realized I had a vision of doing exactly that. And I knew that a god and a goddess were coming through, and that at one time I would have been too proud to work with them, but I've been kind of humbled over the last couple of years, and I would be ready to work with them. Now, of course, I was all ready to go after that, but Odin and I had a huge fight last night about it. And it felt like she was opening the window of opportunity and being really nice, and I was having none of it, and I was, venting. And I got up this morning and I made up. I lit a candle and I lit incense and I apologized. And I said, I don't want to leave Odin. And why would I have to leave Odin? Because we're finally joined at the hip and blah, 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 blah. But it's like it feels like the goddess is calling all the former Wiccans back. So are you former Wiccans getting a call? Tell me I'm not crazy, but it's like she's going, come back. It's time. You're coming back. Come back home because I tell you what, I want you here where I can keep an eye on you, not out in pagan land fighting over, X, Y, and Z and everything else. Remember the great right? We have that. Comebacks. I got howls of laughter from Loki. So it's almost like, she's that overarching ultimate, this is what goddess really is. And again, I'm not saying you can plug and play. I still see them as separate, either whether you want to say aspects or distinct personalities, but like she's the overarching goddess. And the overarching god is just staying all the way. And like, I think he's coming through, but he's like, yes, dear. And he's like 20 feet away from her because she ain't having none of nobody's nonsense right now. So if you guys like what you see, I'm kidding. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.